So I played golf on Saturday afternoon with my buddy Don Gorman, Tim Rooney, and Mike Lang. We teed off at about 1:30, I think it was. And as I always do, I love the game of golf. I play a lot of golf. My back is acts up on me. If it were in great shape, I'd play a lot more. But I love the game. I played all my life. And before we got started, Don is a lifelong friend. Mike and I play every Saturday and Sunday together generally. And Tim Rooney is a friend I met through Don, and I've been playing with Tim now for probably 4 years off and on, probably 5 times a year at various clubs around the area. And Tim is 77 years old. Don is just turned 78 years old. By the way, Don is 5 foot. Let me think. Don is about 5'8" and weighs 142 pounds soaking wet. He's healthier than you and I combined. The guy's a former triathlete. His abs, 78 years old. He's got 6-pack in there. He's a workout fiend. He has got tremendous rotation and flexibility. Hits the ball further than me. He's a better golfer than me. He took up the game at the age of 40 when he called me and said, Jeffy, I'm too daggone old for these triathlons. Teach me how to play golf. You're the only one I know will take me out and play golf and not care how I play, not what I shoot. So I'm lifelong friends with Don. Got to know Tim. Tim is 77. Not as great a shape as Don, but still pretty good golfer. He's a 10 handicap. So we play 18 holes. Before we get started, as we're literally sitting there on the first tee getting ready to go, talking to Tim about golf and how much we love and the share in golf. And I said to him, how many hole-in-ones do you have? And he stops, he looks at me, and he gives me the 0 symbol. So he puts his index finger next to his thumb and gives me the motion of 0. And he says, what about you? I said, I got 2. Looking forward to my 3rd. I got to get a 3rd one soon because my wife has 2. Mrs. Westside Jeff. She's a better golfer in my household. Trust me. And I don't say that just to say it. She's an 8 index. I'm a 13 index, which means she's by very nature, if you don't play golf, she's 4 strokes better than me. So we start playing golf, and Tim is hitting the ball okay. 10 handicap, which means he typically should shoot about 10 over par, about 82. He has a birdie. He makes a bunch of pars. We make the turn. He makes another birdie. A couple holes later, makes another birdie. We get to the 17th hole, 150 yards. Tim gets his first hole-in-one. I'm like, holy crap. 78-year-old guy, 3 birdies, and a hole-in-one. Guy's got a hell of a round going. He ends up shooting 73. So congratulations, my buddy Tim Rooney, for your first hole-in-one at the age of 78. There's still hope for the rest of us. If you're a golfer, you know what I mean by this. This guy's a 10 handicap, which means his best scores typically average around 82. He's not the kind of guy, that's a career round for him, 73, 1 over par. And it's a career round to have 3 birdies and a hole-in-one. I don't know about you. I can't remember last time I played golf with a golfer that was not a professional golfer, a really good professional golfer. And the guy has 3 birdies and a hole-in-one. Spectacular. If you got hole-in-ones or stories in the golf course, I'd love to hear it. 800-288-9227. 800-288-WBAP. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, sitting in for Chris Kroc. I'm here all week as Chris is off. And back next week. He'll be back next Tuesday. I'll be in on Monday night also. The rarest shot in all of golf is the albatross. An albatross is defined as having 2 on a par 5. So long par 5, you hit a drive, hit your second shot, and it goes in the hole. That is the rarest of rare shots in the world of golf, an albatross. I don't have any of those. I've come close. I'm not that good of a golfer, but I've probably been within 3 inches of that. And maybe someday I'll get one. But I tell you what, 73 with 3 birdies and a hole-in-one is spectacular. Made me think as we were talking afterwards, the weird thing about the game of golf, the guy that has a hole-in-one, it is common practice that you buy everybody a drink after the round. I'm not talking just your foursome. I'm talking you go in the clubhouse, you're buying drinks for everybody. So what's interesting is I would say Tim is a pretty wealthy guy. I don't know how wealthy, multi-millionaire. We walk in and sit down. It's Saturday night at 6:30 p.m. There's like 3 people in the clubhouse, in the entire clubhouse on Saturday night, which surprised me. I think he was kind of disappointed there weren't more people that he could buy drinks for and celebrate. Now, I'm a cheap date because I don't drink. I don't drink any alcohol at all. So it was a cheap Diet Coke for me, some beer nuts, if you will, or some trail mix. We celebrated, had a great conversation. I signed his card. We got an extra card so he could fill it out and make a little shadow box from it. The other interesting thing about this, if you're a golfer and never done this, I'd advocate for this. When he hit the shot for the hole-in-one, we couldn't actually see the ball go in the cup because there's a little lip or edge in the front end of the green that kind of didn't give us a full view of the ball rolling in. But I knew it bounced once. We saw the ball come up, and then we saw it disappear. I knew it was in the hole. If it wasn't, it was going to be real close. As we drove the cart up to the green, and I could see the green, I said to Tim, that ball's in the hole. He said, nah, it's over the green in the bunker. I said, Tim, that ball's in the hole. And he said, no, it's not. And so he got out of the cart. I said, Tim, stop. So I stopped him from walking on the green. I grabbed my cell phone. I hit record on video and videotaped our walk to the green. I said, Tim, I'm going to video this because I'm telling you, that's in the hole. And we walked up, the 4 of us. He got about 10 feet from the hole, said, it is. That was it. I mean, some people celebrate a lifetime for a hole-in-one. He didn't. It was pretty interesting. I got it all on video. It was very rewarding to watch that, participate with it, be a part of that. And I sent him that video, which he will remember for his lifetime. A hole-in-one. He's got a video to commemorate it. So pretty special night. Talk about the news of the day, and the big story today is Jack Smith, special counsel, who filed a thing with the court to overturn the judge to go ahead and charge Trump for classified documents again. That's a big story going on today. The other story today is it's a 3-year anniversary of the Abbey Gate attack at the Kabul airport, and Trump shows up at Arlington National Cemetery. I got an opinion on that. I'll tell you about that in about 4.5 minutes. Joe Biden wasn't there. Kamala wasn't there. Where were they? Why weren't they there? We'll talk about that also in about 4 minutes. Other things in the news today. Big story here in Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, Dallas Cowboys receiver, agrees to a massive 4-year contract extension. Lamb takes a $38 million signing bonus. It's the highest ever for a wide receiver in league history. He walks away with the second richest contract in the NFL for a receiver. 4 years at $136 million. He's just behind Justin Jefferson with the Vikings. 4 years, $140 million. While most people will celebrate that, I have a different opinion about that. I have a different thought on that and how that impacts you and me. And I'll tell you what it is, along with the story about Biden at Arlington National Cemetery in about 4 minutes. My name is Jeff. It's Westside Jeff in for Chris Kroc on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. I was just talking to producer Charlie a moment ago about hole-in-ones. He said, Charlie said, I'm 33 years old. I've played golf a lot of times, and I've never had a hole-in-one. And my best round was, I think he said, Charlie, open up your mic real quick. Tell me, what was the score again? 78, you said? Charlie? 78, your best round ever, 78, and never had a hole-in-one. Some people there are guys on the PGA Tour that never had hole-in-ones. Talk about the fact I played Saturday with a buddy, Tim Rooney, at 78 years old. He has 3 birdies and a hole-in-one, and we were lamenting then, talking about how many hole-in-ones we've seen. You know, I'm a golfer, avid golfer, played all my life. Last count, I was counting with my buddies, almost 30 hole-in-ones I've seen. When I stop to tell people that, they're like, you got to be kidding. Like, real life? It's so rare to see a hole-in-one, and I'm blessed to have I've got 2. My buddy Jim's got 1. I've seen my buddy Earl's got 2. Used to play in Pinehurst, North Carolina with guys every year, an annual trip. And it seemed like every year somebody had one. I could go through a list of folks that I've seen that I played with that had hole-in-ones when I was playing with them. It's a rare shot, and I guess I'm blessed. I need more myself. Hopefully I get them. Westside Jeff is my name in for Chris Crock. Chris is back a week from tomorrow night. I'm in the rest of this week, and then Monday night. You want to weigh in, 800-288-9227. Love to hear a hole-in-one story if you've got any. I always tell people we always joke on the golf course, by the way, about someone's gonna have a hole in one. The ball's gonna like bounce off a cart path and off a cart and off a rake and onto the green and in the hole, and they'll be embarrassed. And I said, I won't. It won't bother me. My simple question: somebody want to give me hell about that? My question's real simple. How many hole in ones do you have? I don't care how I get it, just so I get it. 800-288-9227. Also available at Westside Jeff across social media. Talking a moment ago about today is a 3-year anniversary of the deadly attack at the Kabul airport that killed 13 Americans and wounded many more. It's called Abbey Gate. The withdrawal from Afghanistan was chaotic, to say the least, and that whole thing leaves a black eye on this country and the world and our military. And what happened today? Former President Donald Trump and former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi was a House of Representatives member from the state of Hawaii, a Democrat who changed her parties to Republican about 7 or 8 months ago. She was there with Trump. So they were there to commemorate the day and lay a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery. So Donald Trump visited Arlington National Cemetery today to mark Afghanistan withdrawal anniversary and a formal ceremony that included family members of some of those that were killed and some that were injured. And where was the President of the United States, Joe Biden? Where was Kamala? We don't know. Neither of them showed up. What does that tell you about somebody running the country as president or running to become president, not showing up at such a important formal ceremony? Now, my thought and my opinion is simple. That part of the role of the President of the United States is commander-in-chief. But my expectation, what I want and what I expect out of my president, and I don't care whether it's a Republican or Democrat, I expect the same from either. I expect not only the commander-in-chief, but I also expect the comforter-in-chief. I expect a uniter-in-chief. I expect them to have decorum and to take on the role as a leader and most important, powerful person in the free world. That's what I expect. And I've not gotten that from Joe Biden. And I've not gotten that from Kamala. Yet they continue. You got Biden still as President of the United States. He's been AWOL and absent for over a week now. After the DNC speech a week ago tonight, he jumped on Air Force One and, quote unquote, went on vacation to California. Haven't seen much from him since, because the national news media is covering everything up. They're putting him out of sight so he doesn't ruin Kamala's coronation. And what happens now? He takes another vacation and goes to Delaware. So supposedly he goes from California to Delaware on vacation. And earlier today, during a press conference, I think they call it a gaggle, around national security, John Kirby was asked where Joe Biden is and why is he AWOL? Is he still the president of the United States? Is he still running the country? It came up in the press briefing today, and Kirby said the White House is a traveling group, and it doesn't change anything, is what he said. And he almost shamed the reporter for asking the question. I think it's a shame that the president wasn't there today. The commander-in-chief who oversees our nation's military, who on botch. The Afghanistan withdrawal was an absolute chaotic, colossal, catastrophic failure, and he wasn't there, and she wasn't there. It's very, very disappointing to see that neither of them were there or even acknowledging what happened there. I was talking to a friend of mine last week a little bit about Trump and about those who can't vote for Trump. And you know what I'm talking about. They're just a group of people, we'll call them suburban white women as much as anything, that live in wealthier neighborhoods. I refer to them as educated white women with white guilt. They feel guilty because of their race and because they have money and their husbands work. Those are the ones that can't vote for Trump. I was talking to a buddy of mine about this and said, there are just some people like that you'll never get to vote for Trump. And I don't quite understand it. And he said to me, I understand it. I'll tell you what it is. And I said, what's that? And he had a great thought on exactly what it's all about. His opinion, he's right on this. The more I thought about it, I noodled it, I processed it, is the women that we continually hear about that can't vote for Trump. I contend, and he's right, I had to process it over the weekend. These are women who Donald Trump reminds them of an abusive husband or a really bad boyfriend. And I think he's spot on with that. An abusive husband or a really bad boyfriend. Now, those women, many of them have never maybe had an abusive boyfriend, but they have friends who have. And they've lived through those relationships with their friends with those abusive men, those bad boyfriends. Not a bad boy, but a really bad boyfriend. And it makes sense to me because those women I'm talking about can't tell me why they won't vote for Trump. They just think he's horrible, deplorable. They got all kinds of bad names for him, but they can't tell me why. They can't define it. It's a feeling. And the feeling to me feels like they are putting a label on him as very similar to being a bad boyfriend that they've had in the past or an abusive husband. And I think that's what it comes down to. I agree with that. You got an opinion? I want to hear your thoughts on that. 800-288-9227. I also just sent this out. We were talking earlier about RFK. Is the RFK endorsement making you more likely to vote for Trump or not? I just put this up on Twitter, now X, a political polls. It's a polling site. Posed that question, and they put the answer up. It's up on my Twitter page or X page. You can check it out at Westside Jeff. I'll talk about that right after the bottom of the hour news. 4 minutes or 3 minutes, we got Sean Allen in the newsroom with stories of the day. On the other side of that, I want to talk about that poll that came out just moments ago. Is RFK endorsement making you more likely to vote for Trump? What do you think the answer to that is? You got an opinion? 800-288-9227. I'll tell you what the answer was in about 3.5 minutes. About 6 minutes. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, and for Chris Crock on News Talk 820 WBAP. Jeff is the name, Westside Jeff, and for Chris Crock tonight and the rest of the week. Chris is taking the week off, and also next Monday night, so I'll be with you next Monday night too. My story is simple. I just give you a common sense opinion on current events. I find myself watching the news, and I watch a lot of CNN. I watch some MSNBC. I do ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. I like to watch them all. I don't want to just drink from the fire hose and watch Fox and only get that. I want to see what every side is doing. And I always find it intriguing how each different television network covers stories and their spin on them. And I find myself, after watching multiple outlets, forming my own opinion. And that's what you get right here, right now, for me. Jeff, Westside Jeff, in for Chris Crock. Same with reading papers. I read all kinds of newspapers, including the Dallas News, USA Today, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, some of the local community publications here in the area, because I want to know what's going on, what's the spin on it, what are people talking about, how do they feel about it, and how does it impact what we do. That's what I do. Westside Jeff is the name. In for Chris Crock. If you want to interact, 800-288-9227. You can find me up on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, also on X, formerly known as Westside or as Twitter. I mentioned right before the news a tweet that I saw. I follow a group called Political Polls. And Political Polls, they say they are a nonpartisan group keeping you informed with political polls, predictions, and election night results. And over the time that I've followed them, I find that they're pretty accurate. I mean, it's not, my radar's not up that they are hardcore left or hardcore right. They really go as I think the country or the interviewees that they talk to goes. And literally at about 15 minutes ago, they put up a tweet that said, is an RFK endorsement making you more likely to vote for Trump? And I don't know the details. I haven't had time to open it up and go through and read all their statistics about here's how many people were surveyed, blah, 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 blah. To me, they have some credibility from the research I've done on them before. What do you think the answer was? Again, is an RFK endorsement making you more likely to vote for Trump? The answer is yes, more likely, no, less likely, or no difference. What do you think the answer was generally? I put it up on my X page. I retweeted it with a comment that said, are you buying it? X, formerly known as Twitter. The answer is this. According to Political Polls, and the source was Kaplan. Again, I haven't read all of that. Is an RFK endorsement making you more likely to vote for Trump? 20% say more likely, yes. 20% say less likely, meaning no. 58% say no difference. Are you buying it? Do you buy that? Do you agree with that? Do you think that's accurate? What are your thoughts? What do you think? What do you think the RFK endorsement means for Trump? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it not matter? Do you think it's going to impact the election? And how? That's what I want to know is how do you think an RFK endorsement of Trump will impact the election? What's your opinion on that? 800-288-9227. It's 800-288-WBAP. My thought is a couple things. Immediately, simple, I don't think it has any impact. I really don't. I think those people voting that were going to vote for Kennedy were turned off. If they were center left, they were turned off by the Democrats' policies, whatever they are. Maybe it's a policy on the wars between Ukraine and Russia, or the war between Palestinians and Israelis, and the Hamas issue. It could have been an issue on border. It could have been an issue on national security. It could have been an issue about the economy. I don't know. It could have been a bunch of things. But I think the reason that Kennedy was getting votes from the Democrats in particular is because they didn't agree with the Democratic policies, whatever they are. And the reason that RFK would steal votes from Trump is not policy related, rather the bad little orange man. It's Trump deranged syndrome. So if you're a Democrat, the Democrats who were going to vote for Kennedy, your vote for Kennedy, I believe, was a vote against Democratic policies. But if you're on the right side of the aisle, center right, the vote for Kennedy was a vote against Trump. And I think those two cancel each other out. I agree with that. 20% say they're more likely to vote for Trump. 20% say less likely to vote for Trump. And 58% no difference. I think it's not a significant play, is my opinion. I don't think that's going to be it's a good feather in the cap to have somebody by the name of Kennedy stumping for Trump. But in the end, I don't think it's going to make a difference in this election. Again, I think that the no Trump vote, the vote again, those who won't vote for Trump, especially those that are center-right or Republicans, those who won't vote for him, comes down to one thing. It's Trump. It's Trump deranged syndrome. They'll vote for her because she's not Trump. But I contend that the undervote will be sizable this time, meaning that there will be people who vote for their U.S. Senate seat or governor's seat or whatever it is, but not vote for a presidential candidate, almost a protest. But I still think there's a lot of time left on the clock that could change. I think Trump has to come out and he has to stay relevant to the message, stay on script. He has to quit attacking her personally. And I think the attacks on Harris, if he's going to attack her, which I'm okay with, you've got to attack her policies, not her personally. Don't go after her skin color. Don't go after her gender. Don't go after her stupid gaggle. Go after the policies. That's what it's about. I'd love to hear your opinion on these things, including the RFK thing. We got a couple open phone lines. I see Greg from Southlake. We'll get to him right after the break. I got to hit a quick break. Greg, stick with me. We got 3 open phone lines at 800-288-9227. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, and for Chris Crocker, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. So I was talking a moment ago about a post I retweeted and put up a comment of, are you buying this? And I just put it up. It's political polls that says, is an RFK endorsement making you more likely to vote for Trump? And their polling shows 20% more likely, 20% less likely, 58% no difference. I fall in that 58%. I believe that would probably be the case. I don't think it's significant enough to sway the outcome of the election. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, and for Chris Crock tonight, the rest of the week, and next Monday night, Chris is taking time off. You can weigh in on social media. I'm at Westside Jeff, or you can pick up the phone and call me, and Garrett and Charlie will answer the call and talk to you for a minute and tell me you're there. Like Gregory from Southlake, you can hit me up at 800-288-9227. It's 800-288-WBAP. Gregory, thanks for calling, man. It's good to talk to you again. Thanks for being on the show. What's your thought on this thing?
Oh, I'm thrilled to have you back on the air, Westside. I think that it will make a difference, particularly in the swing states where RFK is off the ballot. I think it would have made a bigger difference if he decided to just completely withdraw from all the ballots. But here's the people that I think that are most persuadable by this are what back in the Reagan era were known as the Blue Dog Democrats. You know, and if you look at the hard left is about 21% of the country. All right, so you've got about another 30%, 29%. Center left, maybe another 25% center right, and you got about another 25% hard right. Okay, and if you can get if this endorsement means 5 or 10 or 15% of that 29%, center left, it could be very significant, particularly in the swing states. So, and it's going to be for the, what we used to traditionally call, because I'm old. I mean, look, I voted for Reagan, twice. And in fact, I'm old enough, I voted for Ford before him. And I remember the Blue Dog Democrats who supported Reagan's policies during his administrations. They were the more center conservative Democrats, more traditional Democrats, JFK kind of Democrats. And I think those people will be persuaded by this endorsement to vote for Trump.
Gregory, why do you think you keep talking about the swing states, especially in the swing states? Let me define the swing states as I see them. Is going to be the number one swing state will be Pennsylvania. Then you got Wisconsin, Michigan. I think Georgia is a swing state. North Carolina and Nevada,
Arizona. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why do you think RFK impacts those states even more so?
Because he said he's going to request to have his name taken off the ballot in those states. Okay, so the only two choices on those ballots, assuming that he's able to get his name off the states in those ballots, the only two choices are going to be Trump or Harris. So if you're a persuadable kind of blue dog Democrat kind in one of those states where RFK is off the ballot, you're probably going to vote for Trump or stay home.
Yeah. My dad was one of those blue dog Democrats, too, so I know what you're talking about. I contend, though, that if you weren't going to vote for Trump or vote for Harris, that it'll be a top-of-the-ticket empty vote, that they won't vote for president. They just won't vote for either one of them, but they'll vote their down-ballot races.
But if you only need to get 5% of those people to push it over the... remember, I think the whole 2020 election, I think, was decided by 49,000 votes.
Yeah, amazing.
Which I personally believe were fraudulent, But if it's that close, if the RFK endorsement could persuade 5% of the conservative kind of Democrats, center-left Democrats, to vote for Trump, I think that could make a big difference in those swing states where RFK has taken himself off the ballot. I think it could. So I think it could help. So I guess I'm in the 21% that says, I think it'll help. Right? Look, you got if you had 21% of the people who said they think it could help or persuadable Democrats who are going to vote for Trump, he's got the election, especially in those swing states.
Yeah.
And if you have 10%, a few percentage of those, he's going to get it.
Thank you for calling, man. I've talked to you before. I appreciate you listening, and I hear you. Thank you for calling and be a part of the show. Thanks for weighing in on that. I appreciate it very much. That's Gregory from Southlake. I'll tell you something interesting to follow up on something Gregory said. One of the things that's real important in very close elections is what they call ground game. And ground game are all the volunteers that go door to door, pass out things that you and I think are pests, but they actually a really, really good ground game. So I've worked in political campaigns. A good ground game can move the needle upwards to 3%. And in close elections, that can make a big, big difference. Big difference. Coming up in the news in just a couple minutes, Sean Allen has a story about the rumor that whether the former President Trump and Vice President Harris debate or not, it might be canceled. He's got the news on that coming up in about 6 minutes. I talked a little while ago about playing golf on Saturdays with my buddies and actually watching and witnessing a hole-in-one. I've seen several hole-in-ones in my life and threw it out there. If you've got a story, I'd love to hear it. And Leo heard that from Fort Worth. Leo, thanks for listening. You got a hole-in-one story to follow up for me on this?
Yeah, I have a friend that used to entertain some clients, and he loved to take them to Colonial, and I was fortunate enough to be a member for a few years out there. And so we would have two groups that went around and entertained his clients, and we had rubber snakes and fake dog goo and stuff that we would use, to entertain.
And you call that entertainment?
Well, they didn't, but we did.
Hopefully they stayed as clients.
Yeah, they did. It was all in good fun. But one day he's called and said, these guys I've taken out there before, and I bet they're tired of that stuff. Have you got anything new that we can do? So I started thinking about it and said, what if we could create a hole-in-one and get them on that? And he said, well, whoa, how? And I said, well, I'm going to get them to bet $1,000 on hole-in-ones. Like anybody in the group gets a hole-in-one, he gets $1,000 from everybody in the group. And he said, how are you going to get them to do that? And I said, well, just hide and watch. So on the first tee, we're doing these little Nassaus and stuff. And I said, everybody in for $1,000 hole-in-ones. What? And I said, yeah, we had this group for 20 years now. And we started off at $100 hole-in-ones, and nobody ever had one. We raised it to $250 and then to $500 and $750. In the last 5 years, we've been playing $1,000 hole-in-ones, and nobody's had a hole-in-one since we started this group together. And, oh, yeah, we're in. So off we go, We get around to 16, and I've already rehearsed the backroom attendant, the guy that did all the backroom stuff, with a rod and reel to sit in the bushes. It's got red petunias on 16 around the green, or up on one side of the green. And he has a ball that we've already strung the string down around the pin and back up to the rod in the bushes. And then, so my buddy's in on the deal, of course, and his job is to hit it out of bounds in the driveway of the service entrance, like he's, just knocked it clear over the moon.
Yep. And
the backroom guy's supposed to hit the dumpster with a 2x4 and make it sound like the golf ball hitting it. And then it's supposed to come out of the bushes, bouncing down this mound toward the green. Well, it goes off like clockwork, and Donald even hit the dumpster, and Matt didn't need to swing the 2x4 at it. And, of course, I've got the other group on 15.
Hey, Leo, can I interrupt you and ask you to stick around for a minute? I got to hit top of the hour news break. I want to hear the finish of this story. I think I know where you're going about playing with guys in the golf course and simulating a hole one. That's too funny. You got to stick around. I want to hear the end of the story. You got to hit top of the hour news with Sean Allen. I'm gas per Charlie, put you on hold, and we'll come back after top of the hour news and finish that story. We're talking hole-in-ones. Leo's got a great story. I kind of got a feeling where it's coming. Snakes in a golf course and fake hole-in-ones, and guys that don't know what's coming next. We'll talk about that next. I'm Westside Jeff, and for Chris Crocker, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3.